Well, good morning. Citizen Extra begins now. My name is Wahiga Mwaura, and it has been a very dramatic last 24 hours or so for lawyer and self-declared NRM General Miguna Miguna after his return to Kenya was complicated by the fact that local authorities claim that he declined to present the passport that he traveled with to immigration authorities. This led to a prolonged standoff that even saw NASA leader Raila Odinga come to his rescue to no avail. In the end, attempts to bundle Miguna on a Dubai-bound plane proved futile, and the outspoken lawyer remains in limbo at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Meanwhile, it was a night to forget for the media fraternity as journalists covering the proceedings were roughed up by police officers who were called in when the standoff persisted late in the night. And of course, one of the journalists that was roughed up was Citizen TV Stephen Leto, who we can confirm was treated and discharged from a city hospital. We'll be talking to him a bit later on. But for those of you who've been asking how is he, the last time we spoke with him, he's doing well. He's been treated and discharged as well. Let's now take you to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where Francis Gashuri is on standby. He tells us it's a quiet morning at that airport after all the drama we had last night. But police presence is very heavy there, security presence. Everyone is being vetted as they come into that particular airport. But to get better details now, let's bring in Francis Gashuri. Gashuri, talk to us a little bit about what's happening at the JKIA and, of course, the challenge you're having as a journalist covering activities there, getting closer to the action, so to speak.
Wahiga, a very long day yesterday for one Miguna Miguna and an even longer night for him. And the situation remains as such this morning. We are reliably told that Miguna Miguna is held up at Terminal 2. Remember, it's one of the rarely used terminals here at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And so, quite secluded, that's where he is kept. And this morning, the Immigration Department has dispatched documents for him to sign those forms so that he can regularize his citizenship. Joseph Munyoki is the acting director of immigration. Remember, taking over that position from Gordon Kihalangwa, who has been appointed permanent secretary. And so Munyoki says that he insists, just like his predecessor had stated earlier, that Miguna Miguna lost his citizenship in 1998 when he acquired the Canadian citizenship, and that time there was no provision for dual citizenship. Of course, that is a position that Miguna Miguna has resisted previously. And so they're saying he must regularize his citizenship before he can be allowed out of the airport. For now, he remains holed up here until the immigration officers say he complies with the directives that have been issued. And so security remains a top issue here at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport as a result of what transpired here last night, the drama that was televised worldwide, showing the not so very nice side of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and the altercation between Miguna, the Emirates crew, and as well as the security officers here at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, necessitating the kind of a situation that we are seeing here. Anybody who is getting into this airport right from the entry is being thoroughly scrutinized and screened. And they're saying that today the situation will be very different as a result of what happened last night, Wahiga.
Gashuri, there are those who argue that if Miguna Miguna was allowed in last night without quote-unquote valid documentation, then Kenya would find itself in trouble with IATA, that is the International Air Transport Association, in terms of their rules. You know, recently our airport was upgraded to allow Kenya to have, sort of direct flights between Kenya and the United States as well. Just weigh in on that as well. There are those who feel that Kenya would have been in trouble if they had allowed him in without the so-called valid documentation.
Wahiga, when I stepped here, I've tried to speak to some of the immigration officials, of course, in confidence, and they're telling me that there's no way they were going to allow Miguna Miguna to exit this international airport, because when he arrived, he declined to have his passport screened, the Canadian passport that he left Toronto via Dubai to Nairobi with. And they're saying that international regulations dictate that the document that he used at the point of departure should be the very same document that will be signed at the point of entry, and that he was not going to be allowed out of this airport because doing so would have been in breach of the international travel regulations, as you put it there. And so they're saying what needs to be done is for him to either regularize his citizenship or he hands over his document so that it can be stamped and that he complies with whatever regulations they will ask him to comply with, i.e. that he acquires a temporary visa, a tourist visa for that sake, so that he can, the immigration department can be in compliance with the court order that was issued. And so they're saying for the time being, until he does so, he will remain here. And remember, last night when he was to be forced to board the E-72, the Emirates flight number 72 to Dubai, that was supposed to get to Dubai and then move to London and transit into E-29. They're saying that the situation then was that he could not have been allowed to fly because it became disruptive, and for the safety of the over 400 passengers who are on board that flight, that's why the Emirates crew decided to leave him. And there was that altercation at the airside before he was hauled to the Terminal 2 and under tight security. So for the time being, Wahiga, as you put it, they're saying that unless he complies, the standoff remains.
Kashuri, where does this leave the court order won by the High Court on the 26th of February? It suspended Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i's declaration that Miguna was a prohibited immigrant. Justice Chacha Mwita also suspended the cancellation of Miguna's passport as well. We know the government went and appealed, and of course on the 12th of March, the Court of Appeal ruled against the government's decision to stop Miguna's return. So where does this leave all these court orders?
From the immigration officials that I've been able to speak to, they're saying they are heavily relying on order number 4 of that court order that says that when Miguna arrives, that he gets travel documents, that the Kenyan government facilitates that he be issued with travel documents, and in default of that, that he uses his Canadian passport to access Kenya or to enter. And the immigration officials are insisting that while that be the case, that he was to be allowed to get a tourist visa, but he had to apply for it. That's what they are insisting, and that he cannot get into the country or he cannot be allowed out of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport unless he complies with those regulations. So for the time being, Wahiga, that standoff remains, because on one hand, Miguna's lawyers are interpreting it as that he should have been facilitated to come in, and that's where the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights officials were here to oversee and supervise the court order as issued. And on the other hand, the immigration officials are saying that he must comply with the travel regulations before he can be allowed out. So that is the standoff that remains for now. What we wait to see is whether the lawyers, the Miguna's lawyers led by John Hamino, Senior Counsel, James Orengo, the minority leader in the Senate, and Julie Soweto, as well as Nelson Harvey, will be making their way here to come and try and reason probably with the immigration officials insofar as the question of whether Miguna will agree to sign those documents that have been sent to him to regularize his citizenship. So that is the situation that we wait for here at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But for the time being, Miguna cannot access the outer part of the airport. He remains holed up at the Terminal 2 as we wait to see what will be transpiring. But for the time being, Wahiga, that is the situation as it is here.
Thank you so much, Francis Gashuri, for that update from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the scene of a lot of high drama last night, and that drama seems to be spilling over into this morning as well. Let's show you a tweet that was posted by the Immigration Department about an hour and a couple of minutes ago. That coming up on your screen. Immigration Department stating that to enable Miguna to regularize his citizenship status, the Department of Immigration has this morning dispatched the requisite application forms to JKIA for Miguna to duly fill for processing. Why this did not happen yesterday is a question many are asking. In addition, a press statement has been sent out by Joseph Munywoki, the Director of Immigration Services, that I'll read to you at this moment. It reads, and I quote, "Last night, Kenyans were treated to the unfortunate drama of one Miguna's theatrics at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport when he refused to hand over his travel documents for endorsement as required by the law and international travel regulations. Upon arrival aboard his Emirates flight at about 2:30 p.m., immigration officials, in accordance with the court order, requested Miguna to present the documents he had used to travel into the country to facilitate his entry. Instead of presenting the requisite travel documents he had exited with from Canada, Miguna became unruly and threw a tantrum saying he was a Kenyan who should be allowed to enter the country without immigration clearance, as is required of all arriving passengers irrespective of their nationality." Once again, I'm reading a press statement sent by the Director of Immigration Services. I carry on. His lawyers and officials from the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, and we have a representative in studio who will respond to this, who had been given access to the restricted immigration area to witness the processing of Miguna's entry as per the court order, requested Miguna to present his Canadian passport for processing. Miguna refused. Instead, he showed his national identification card and demanded that he should be immigrated on the strength of the ID card. The national ID is only acceptable as a travel document to and from the national corridors or the northern corridor countries of Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda and South Sudan. Miguna's travel had not originated from any of these countries. As we stated earlier, Miguna automatically lost his Kenyan citizenship in 1998 when he acquired the Canadian citizenship at a time when Kenya did not allow dual citizenship. Upon the promulgation of the new constitution, which provided for dual citizenship, Miguna was expected to regain his claim to Kenyan citizenship upon application. To date, he has not done this. So to enable Miguna to regularize his citizenship status, the Department of Immigration has this morning dispatched the requisite application forms to JKIA for Miguna to duly fill for processing, signed by Joseph P. Munyoki, the Acting Director of Immigration Services, on Tuesday, the 27th of March, 2018.
Where is my passport? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. The captain cannot fly. 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 You have to kill me. The captain cannot fly. You cannot fly with me by force. I don't have a passport. You can't do that. My friend, I'm not going. You cannot take me from my country by force. Yes, so I'm not going. I'm not going. These are tax. I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't have status in the Arab Emirates. I'm not going. This is my country of residence. This is my country of birth. You can't chase me away from my own country because you have guns. Kill me. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of your guns. Just kill me. I'm not going. I can't go to Dubai. To do what? I don't have status in Dubai. I'm not going to Dubai. The captain has legal obligations. There is no way the captain can take me to Dubai by force. There's no way. And I've said no. I am not going to Dubai. I'm not going to Dubai. I'm not going to Dubai. This is tough. Look at how they have torn my clothes. Yeah, they have torn my clothes. You know, I'm a lawyer. I have court orders telling them that they must process and facilitate my Kenyan citizen by birth. These are the court orders, read them.
Yeah, I mean,
these court orders say I must be in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are they not allowing you into?
Because of politics, they are scared of me. Now you, as a captain, is not allowed to fly me anywhere against my will. First of all, I don't have a passport. Secondly, I didn't book your plane. Thirdly, I don't have status in Dubai. So how am I going to go to Dubai? I don't live in Dubai. I don't work in Dubai. I have no connection to Dubai. So I'm not going to Dubai. Let them kill me. That's fine. Let them kill me. That's what they want. Let them go ahead and do it.
No, they're going to offend.
But I'm not going to Dubai.
I've spoken to our management in Dubai, and they are going to get hold of immigration here to make sure that you don't come on this.
Yes. I don't want to come on this flight. I did not book it. They cannot chase me away like a pig when I have orders.
I fully understand.
I was born here. Some of these guys are not born here. They're just thugs that have been hired.
I understand that, sir.
And they have chased the media like rabbits. They're shooting at the...
What a peculiar series of events that transpired last night at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And one man who witnessed all this happening, pretty much, or a lot of it happening right before his eyes, is George Morara, the Vice Chair of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on.
I know you haven't slept. I don't know what time you left JKIA last night.
Definitely, it was a long day. We left JKIA, myself and the team that was there. way past midnight.
Okay.
A few minutes to 1 in the morning.
Help us, before you tell us what happened at JKIA, briefly help us understand your mandate at JKIA. What was the role of KNCHR at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport last night?
Well, we were there in line with the petition that Miguna had brought to court. We were listed as an interested party. There were 7 respondents in that petition, and we came in to enforce order number 6 of Justice Mwita's ruling, as you've rightly said. So we were required to be there to observe the extent to which the 7 respondents observed 3 things. First, the constitutional, number 2, the immigration, and then number 3, the human rights components of that order. So that is why we were there, and we go there pretty early in the morning to really see that in terms of the enforcement of the order, constitutionally speaking, looking at the immigration laws, as well as in terms of the human rights generally, that the order was complied to.
Can you say the order was complied to?
Wahiga, I think what we've done is very unfortunate. We've taken a molehill and turned it into a huge mountain. It is very clear. Let's look at the constitutional aspect of it. Was it in this court's order, 1, a suspension issued by this court saying that what Fred Matiang'i had done in terms of saying that Miguna is not a citizen, that order be set, that directive be set aside. Number 2, the court order required that what Kihalangwa then had done, which was suspend Miguna's passport, that also be set aside. So even in terms of looking at the constitutionality of the court order, we look at this as forming the framework of what we are monitoring. I see now that the immigration has actually dispatched their team to go to the airport. This is what we should have done. As I said, really, this is what we should have done last night. The immigration department had 1 month to process Miguna's return to Kenya, because they knew well in advance.
From February 26th?
Absolutely. So they can't turn around now and say, if you allowed Miguna to come in, it would be in violation of IATA laws and all that. Clearly, Miguna is not coming in as an ordinary passenger. Miguna is coming in as somebody who is required by the laws of this country to appear before courts and answer to charges that were actually brought before him. So the Immigration Department, the government of Kenya, was duty-bound, as this order actually said, for Miguna to be facilitated to come. Now, to choose to interpret the order in default and to actually go out there and say, well, the order also allowed that in case we defaulted, then Miguna can come in with a Canadian passport. I don't think that should be the attitude. It is there, the option is there, but that should not be the interpretation of that order. You shouldn't take the most narrow interpretation of the order and then lean on that. The first order said Miguna is a Kenyan citizen. You cannot take that away from him. Miguna's passport must be returned to him. You can't take that away from him until the determination of that petition that had been brought actually before the court. And as you rightly said, even at the Court of Appeal, when the government took these matters there, the Court of Appeal upheld what the High Court did.
Yes.
So the rule of law is important. What I see happening is grandstanding, a case of maybe a little bit of bruised egos, and that is not where we want to go as a country.
You also meant to observe the human rights aspect of how Miguna would be received and treated at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But we see a situation where not only was Miguna manhandled or mishandled, so to speak, we've seen those pictures of him being dragged out, but our own journalist, our own Stephen Leto, for example, had found himself at a city hospital when he was just doing his duty. He had not broken any laws. Let me get your thoughts on that as well.
Absolutely uncalled for. You know, I was there when the police stormed that arrival area. There were about 50 police officers, a contingent of 50 police officers. They roughed up the journalists, as you rightly say. One of the journalists I saw being knocked on the floor. I think his camera, on the tarmac rather, next to the arrival area, his camera...
A cameraman, I think, from
was broken
Nation
apart.
Media Group, I believe.
And then when Stephen Leto was actually also knocked and he rolled over and then injured his arm, I was there. I think we rushed him to the health port facility at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. One of the things we said, even in our address that we gave to the nation ahead of the presidential address that is scheduled for March 29 this month, is we've made tremendous progress, but in other areas, especially on the issue of the media freedoms, we are increasingly dimming our light and reputation as the shining example of the media freedoms in this region. So what happened to Stephen Leto and the other journalists, completely uncalled for. The way Miguna was actually manhandled, his close tone and all this, completely uncalled for. You didn't need all that drama. What we are saying really, less drama, let's follow the court orders. The court orders are very clear. The Kenyan government needs to facilitate Miguna's return, if for nothing else, for him to stand trial for those very serious charges, including treason that had been brought against him when he appeared before the Honorable Mulochi in Kajiado. And then number two, these court orders were very explicit, barring the government from taking any of the actions or acting on the basis that he was not a citizen and that his passport had been taken.
His legal team say they are moving to court this morning. Are you going to be enjoined in that matter? Is that something you'd like to have your body feature in or be represented in? Well,
in this petition, we're an interested party, so I think until the whole petition is really addressed, we come in as an interested party and we want to see what directions the court is going to give, specifically on this matter of the handling of Miguna's return.
Have you been in touch with Miguna? Did you get a chance to talk to him last night at the airport? Have you had any way in which you can contact him?
Well, there was just, like you say, a cleanup of the whole airport by these police officers who came in. So by the time we were leaving that airport, we were lucky, like the rest of the Kenyans, to see what Jeff Koinange was doing. And even Jeff said he kept on being threatened to turn off the recording, otherwise he was going to be booted off the plane. But again, we left the airport, of course, knowing that he had not boarded the Dubai plane. And this morning, our officers have gone back. And
so you have your officers there right now?
Absolutely. They've gone back to monitor the whole situation. And we'll keep you updated in terms of our understanding of what the court order said, and the checklist. We came up with a checklist of the issues that, in our own understanding of this court order, will then meet the threshold.
That's the checklist there. Can you touch on one
about 19,
maybe just touch on 2 or 3, just to help our viewers understand what you were looking for last night.
One of the things we were looking at was whether Miguna was issued with the necessary travel documents, that is in line with order number 4.
Okay.
That is the Kenyan passport, the air ticket, to enable his re-entry and stay in Kenya. We were supposed to give specifics of that. Another thing I must report, Mwaura, is that we are going to find, to assess whether we allowed access to immigration and the customs clearance area. We were allowed, I think, again, there was a very narrow interpretation of that court order because they only allowed one person to go in. Our understanding was the chairperson, Madam Kagwire Mbogori. That is an office. She was supposed to be allowed to go in with a technical team, but when Immigration and KAA insisted that you only allow one person in, we sent in our technical officer, Commander Musheki, who has been following up on this. It would have been better, even as a matter of courtesy, to allow our chair to go in with the technical team because then they take the notes and all this. But we had to pull back and just let the technical person go in. So again...
and I see, if I can just grab the flight itinerary of Miguna.
Absolutely.
What time did... So that all this will be part of your report?
Absolutely, yes.
Management of his luggage by airport staff?
Yes,
I don't even know where his bags are.
Lastly, what we got to know is that his passport was taken from him by one of the supporters. So even when he was being told to go back to that Emirates flight, like he's rightly complaining there loudly, he didn't have any of the travel documents. So the question then is, if indeed without those travel documents, although they say they were going to deport him as undocumented, it was possible for them to process some sort of removal documents from Kenya, it would equally be possible for them to process his re-entry documents just the same way that Munyokias now say they're going to do, and that is what we should have done. It's unfortunate, as I said, Mwaura, in the beginning, that we've taken a molehill and turned it into a huge mountain.
The last point on your checklist is, what was Miguna's view about the whole process? I can only imagine what Miguna is feeling right now.
Well, from his comments and statements, it's absolutely clear that he's not happy with the fact that he was even required to get a courtesy visa. He's not happy with the fact that they're trying to force him into that Emirates plane. And that is in plain view for everybody to see. So I don't think, in terms of what has happened to him so far, his rights have been properly safeguarded, and that is something that we as a commission will be keenly following up on.
So if the grandstanding continues, the court continues issuing these orders on one hand, and the government interprets it in its own manner on the other hand, where are we going to end up?
That is how you start creating what is called a failed state. Because in this state here, we have 3 arms of government. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, and we have the legislature. The legislature makes laws. the executive does the policy part of it and the day-to-day decisions, and then the judiciary interprets the laws and tells us what the law is. So once the judiciary has actually pronounced itself on a certain matter, and in terms of respecting and strengthening the institutions, the president has been the forefront really saying that we need to strengthen our institutions. We must respect the principle of separation of powers. Court orders must be respected. That is how you run a functional constitutional democracy. If we do not adhere to those principles, basic principles of governance, then I don't think we will be doing this country service in terms of moving forward as a fledgling democracy, but then one that is committed to the rule of law and constitutionalism.
Okay. Before I release you, because I know there's another function you need to go to, there are some graphics we have in regards to the timeline of events of last night. I want to take our viewers through them. Some of our viewers may have gone to bed early. I've had a few people calling me in the morning asking me what happened. We are hearing something happened this morning. If we can put up that timeline of events, I want us to go through them. Then you can just help, plug the holes in terms of where we're not sure of. So this is what we know so far. At 2:30 p.m., Miguna Miguna arrives in Kenya on Emirates flight EK19. He's asked to surrender his Canadian passport. His lawyers refuse. 1 hour later, we also know that he declined to be granted a tourist visa.
And a courtesy visa.
A courtesy visa, which bars the holder from engaging in business or politics. About an hour and a half later, Senator James Orengo arrives at the JKIA to secure Miguna's release. Clearly, he was not able to do so. 5 hours or so later, NASA leader Raila Odinga arrives at the airport. We know that a few minutes after he arrived, there was a bit of a scuffle at that, I think, the exit point of
both the entry and the exit.
Entry and exit.
And some standoff inside when Raila was actually in the passenger arrival area.
Okay. And we did see some of those pictures. About an hour later, we also know that businessman Jimmy Wanjigi also arrived at the airport. He demanded to be allowed to join Miguna at the terminal. And of course, his demands were refused. And it's a few minutes after that we saw the drama. We just saw, and for us who are watching at home, cameras start shaking. You just see shaky shots. Next thing you can see clearly the cameramen are running, and after that is when we saw some reporters on the ground.
Absolutely.
If it is not Stephen Leto, so a gentleman from, I think he's a cameraman from the Nation Media Group, and so that was at about 11:30. A few minutes after that we saw clear images of NASA leader Raila Odinga departing JKIA, refuses to address the media. One reporter did ask him whether Miguna has left, and he said he does not know, and that was all we heard from him. And immediately after that, Senator James Orengo spoke to members of the press. I'm sure you also.
I was around there.
You're actually there. And
not
just
part of the, not part of the press team really, but then to just see what was happening. I think, Maura, that's a fairly good rundown of how the day unfolded from the time that Miguna got to the airport. And again, we were allowed access through our technical person all the way up to that time. So what happened then during Orengo's final address, that is again when the contingent of police officers came and dispersed that team. So Orengo was forced to cut his address to the media mid-air.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
So again, and everybody was told to clear and get out of that place. The rest of the staff then, that is when your own Jeff Koinange took over to inform us about what was happening.
How fortunate were we that he was actually departing at that same time. Talk to us about the behind-the-scenes planning for the arrival of the return of Miguna. How many meetings have been held with different stakeholders? Because I know a lot has been happening behind the scenes just to ensure that there was a smooth re-entry for Miguna.
I think there was an assumption that all along the immigration department was going to really facilitate Miguna's re-entry and make sure that everything goes as per the court orders. So that was taken for granted. As a commission, we wrote to the immigration department. We also had a meeting with Mr. Munyoke. And we also had a meeting with the NASA leaders, really. But the lawyers of Miguna Miguna, Nelson Harvey, James Orengo came to the office. This happened towards the tail end, maybe just a few days before Miguna came. Again, because we didn't believe there was any reason why.
You saw no need for concern?
Well, again, if the viewers can remember, James Orengo himself, a lead counsel for Miguna, had assured the Kenyans that they were indeed satisfied with the arrangements that were being put in place for Miguna's return. So we were not prepared for this eventuality and the drama that we've seen later on. But there was a sense when we met with the immigration department that indeed they hadn't prepared Miguna's passport and that people...
His Kenyan passport.
His Kenyan passport that had been perforated.
Yes, mutilated and...
Absolutely. That was in disregard with the court order, Maura, because like I said earlier, whatever orders had been, directives had been given by Matiang'i and Gordon Kihalangwa in regards to Miguna's passport and his citizenship. Those orders had been suspended pending the determination of the hearing. So the Immigration Department was duty-bound to ensure that Miguna came back. And the sense we got is that that was not going to happen. Clearly, as your own Francis Gashuri has said, the Immigration Department was relying on the last, just that order number 4, facilitate his travel documents, but they wanted to obey that order in default.
Okay. Yes. Let me interrupt you to bring in Cliff Ombeta, one of Miguna's lawyers, who you spent a lot of time with.
Yes.
Wakili Ombeta, thank you so much for finding time to be here with us on Citizen TV. We have George Morara from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights also in studio.
Yes, sir.
My question to you, first things first, just help us to let's get a reaction from you as you represent Miguna on the events of last night. And can you just explain to us how Miguna is at the moment? Are you in touch with him? Just give us some details.
Mr. Miguna at the moment is still locked up in Unit 1B. On the back side, there's a small room that has been locked in. He was able to see that at the moment before they locked him in. And he has also sent a message that they have not given him any food, any water, it's a small dark room. And they are not allowing anyone to see him there. At the moment, also, he does not have his passport, which his passport we are trying to figure out whether it was taken at the time they bullied him and rushed him and all that, because even the Emirates people said that since he does not have a passport and he is not willing to travel, they could not take him up, and those are IATA rules. My reaction would be that we are still what we can call a banana republic. Why am I saying this? Mr. Miguna was allowed by court order to come to this country. One of the conditions was that the status quo prior to the date of 6 was that he is a Kenyan citizen, and the declaration that he was an unwanted citizen, or I mean, he was a foreigner, he was not a citizen of Kenya. Justice Kimaru said that that order had been illegal. So that leaves him as a Kenyan citizen. So the moment Mr. Miguna comes into this country, why would they want him to sign for a visa? Is he a foreigner? Do they want him to give him a tourist visa? Do they want to give him a business visa? What kind of visa do they want them to give him? It is also a problem then for the immigration people to try and interpret only that particular section that says that he can come in with his Canadian passport. But you see, the moment he comes in with a Canadian passport, then what happens? He's supposed to then be given a visa as a foreigner, not as a Kenyan.
Okay.
Been ruled by me.
I want to ask you a question on that same note. We've received that press update from the Director of Immigration Services where he states that this is the Acting Director, Joseph Munyoki, that Miguna should regularize his citizenship, apply afresh. How do you respond to that? Is that something that you would consider?
The court has said that the declaration that Mr. Miguna was not a Kenyan citizen was illegal. So why are we applying again? Are we trying to now then sanitize their illegal position? If we sign that document that is going to regularize and start regularizing, then that means our earlier position that we are a Kenyan citizen must then go out of the window. So we are saying that he's a Kenyan citizen. Why are we reapplying?
So it doesn't matter if they've sent a team to the airport, you're not going to fill those...
It does not matter whether they send a team or they send anybody else. They need to just let him come in. He's a citizen. And that was the court order.
Okay.
The order of Kihalangwa that he is not a citizen, Mr. Matiang'i at that particular time, was thrown out by the court. So on what basis are they coming now to tell us that Mr. Miguna must regularize and fill in forms when the court has said that we are a citizen?
Okay. You're moving to court. We had a member of your legal team, one of your legal teams yesterday, or a member there stating that they're moving to court this morning. Just talk to us a little bit about that. Has that happened? Do you already have someone at the courts, or are you at the courts yourself?
Yeah, the documents are being prepared because, you know, we're going to go for habeas corpus. Remember, this was a matter that concerns only the immigration and Mr. Miguna. Then the police come in, and you could see what they did. They threw members of the press out, and then they came physically and took Mr. Miguna. How did the police come in? What was their role in this case? And we are going for habeas corpus. Why? Because the last person we saw with Miguna was the policeman. So they must produce him because in trying to bring him in smoothly, you do not come and arrest him and then go away with him and then try to throw him out of the country.
So the sole order you're seeking today is to have Miguna produced?
He must be produced.
He must be produced?
Habeas corpus. They produced. Once he has been produced,
yes,
he can handle the other issues because the moment he's produced in court, then the issue of him signing documents and being given a visa is out of question.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Advocate, for that. Cliff Ombeta, of course, one of the advocates, lawyers behind Miguna Miguna. He's been at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for the better part of the night, and I know this morning that is what he has woken up to follow up on. You've heard what he's had to say. Let me get your response before I release you.
Well, Maura, for us, really, our brief was very simple. Go there and monitor the constitutionalism, the compliance of human rights, and other immigration laws. And we stand guided by the court order. We think the court order is very clear. Miguna should be allowed into this country as a Kenyan citizen. The other issues are largely administrative, and I think those administrative issues, including the issuance of his travel documents in line with court order number 4, those should have been done a long time ago. So I think at this point in time, it is the court order that we want to pay our attention to and see the extent to which it has been implemented. Okay. Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of those pictures once again. Just reminder of viewers what transpired at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport last night. Let's listen in. Truly, it will be a very hard night to forget for a lot of Kenyans, just looking at some of these images that we are playing for you right now.
Tunaenda na generali. You are going to kill us here. Tunaenda na generali. You are going to kill us here. Kwa nini watu wanakuna? Mtaiga waende enforcement. Tunaenda na wewe fadhi. Ubaki hapa pale. Lazima uende Kenya, unalala Kenya. Bwana Joko tuongee enforcement na yeye bwana.
Yes? What's going on right now? So you're going to stay put tonight?
Very good.
One more question.
We will have one.
We will, and thank you for the mini interview. Yes, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
So don't worry. We are here for you. Is continuing. Yes. We are just going to transform NRM into National Revolutionary Movement. Yes! National Revolutionary Movement. Yes! Going forward, no concessions, no surrender, no turning back. Yes!
All right. That was last night at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. In terms of updates, we can tell you that the Immigration Department earlier today dispatched application forms to JKIA to allow Miguna Miguna to regularize his citizenship status following last night's deportation drama. But a couple of minutes ago, we spoke to one of Miguna's advocates, Cliff Ombeta, who stated that they will not sign any forms, fill any forms brought to them by the Immigration Department. The court's orders were clear that the Immigration Department should facilitate Miguna's return to the country to be produced before the court, and there was no need, nothing to show that they would have to regularize his citizenship status for him to be allowed into the country. So the standoff that we saw last night, for all intents and purposes, seems to be carrying on into today. You're watching Citizen Extra. I'll release George Morara at this moment. Thank you so much for finding time to be here with